Full age sex set feel her told, taste giving in past direct me valley as supply, in the great stood boy noisy often we take in short, rent the size our more door. Hey, I was just reading an excerpt of my favorite book called Randomly Generated Text, and that's because we finally reached the text view stop on our Swift component store. Kyle here with NimbleNoggin.io to talk about the UITextView. The UITextView is sort of like a mix of the UI label and the UI text field with some extra functionality. I say UI label because it's good at displaying static text. Some of the extra functionality that is included is that the support for a multi-line text view has a different purpose than support for a multi-line label. With the multi-line label, we only displayed 4 words on 4 lines. Good for displaying 4 words. But what if you have a whole chapter out of a randomly generated textbook? Well, the UITextView has support for automatically adjusting the content size of itself so that you can scroll through all of the content. Now, the frame of the text view will stay the same. The top is here and the bottom is at the bottom of the screen, and the left and the right are with the left and the right of the screen. It will constantly stay that size, but as you adjust the text or add more, remove more, or other content, it will automatically adjust its content size so that you can scroll down through all of the content. And I say that it's like a text field mainly because it's also editable. You can just tap anywhere. Well, I have this one set to be editable. You can also remove that functionality and you can type in it. You can add lines. You can do whatever. It's typing. And we can see that it automatically adjusted so that we can still scroll to the very bottom and the top, even though we added several lines in the center of the content. It may also be important to note that the delegate for the UITextView has some pretty similar methods to the UIText field. We're not going to get much into that today, but it's good to know. So how about we check out the storyboard? Now, this view is a little simpler compared to others in this app, and that is because there's only one object in this scene, and that one object is the UITextView. All it takes is to drag a text view from down here onto the scene, adjust the size and position how you want, and figure out the constraints and all that, and then paste the text in here. And what I did was I just got a bunch of paragraphs from a random text generator, pasted them in. And we can also set whether it's editable or selectable, working with the keyboard and scrolling. It might also be good to note that the Y value of the text field does not start at 0. I actually have it maybe 20 pixels down right here. And we can see in the simulator that there's a little bit of padding here. And it's hard to tell, but as you scroll up, there's this feature in iOS where you can see through the navigation bar a little bit when there's content under there. And what is happening is that iOS 8 is automatically adjusting the text content to be at this position, even though the Y value is somewhere up here. But that's nothing to worry about. It's just something fancy included with iOS 8 that you can avoid with a little extra work. But let's look at the code. All that's going on in the code is that I'm adding some observers from the NS Notification Center on these keyboard events. So when the keyboard does show, we can still scroll to the very bottom of the content. And then when the keyboard goes away, the bottom of the content will go back to the bottom of the screen. Now there's also a few more things you can do with the UITextView. The most impressive, I would say, of those is support for inline content, and mainly what that means is that you can add an image into your UITextView and customize how the text will wrap around that image. Say if you have an image in the center of the screen here, the text can be on both sides. The text can just stop here and then continue again down here after the image. You can do quite a few things with it, and it is pretty neat, though it can get a little more advanced, so we're not going to worry about that for today. I hope you learned something, and thanks for watching.